Okay.
Grand
I don't have your voice anymore.
It's Wednesday. It's
There we
May
go.
14th. How you doing? How you doing today? Welcome to Grand Rising Elizabeth Wealth Building Wednesday show. Hey, for those who don't know, my name is Lakeisha LeGrand, also known as Madam Finance, because I help everyday people build wealth with confidence. Yeah, that's what I do. That's what I do. How y'all doing?
We're doing great.
Oh, I'm so excited. Yes, it's in the midweek. It's Wednesday. We still got a couple days left, with 3 days left to push it on out, and accomplish some goals and some dreams for this week. So, for those who know, I love to start the show off with a millionaire and billionaire success story. So today's success story is the wealthy entrepreneur and founder of a multi-billion-dollar empire, Glenn William Bell Jr. He was born September 3rd in Linwood, California. His family was very poor. Glenn grew up selling produce on the street to help to help his family survive. When he was 5, the family moved to a small farm in Oregon, and he started selling cottage cheese door to door. This gave Glenn a desire to one day start his own business. While in high school, he worked job after job, saving all his money for his dream of owning a business. Young Glenn he became a great salesman, peddling eggs, apples, and flowers. Halfway through high school, he hopped trains and roamed from Iowa to Washington seeking work, sometimes on relatives' farms. He spent a summer in Washington, D.C. with a great aunt, learning to bake blackberry pies and selling them as Miss D's homemade pies. They split a profit of $3,000, and young Bell decided he wanted to own his own food stand. Glenn continued to save his money and used it to start his first business, a hot dog stand that he built himself. It was extremely unsuccessful. So Glenn decided to build another stand selling hot dogs and hamburgers. This was also unsuccessful. Then Glenn, being desperate for a breakthrough, had a crazy idea. Along with selling hot dogs and hamburgers, he added a taco to his menu. This new idea was a major success. Glenn used the success of his small hot dog stand, turning it into what is now known as Taco Bell. As a result of Glenn Bell never giving up on his vision, Taco Bell now has revenue of approximately $2 billion a year. That's it again, $2 billion a year, and currently employs over 175,000 people. Also, the Taco Bell Foundation gives millions of dollars to help the disadvantaged all over the world. I decree and declare that everyone on here is a success story.
Yes, I agree.
This just really motivates me. I always love studying millionaires and billionaires because success leaves clues. Success leaves clues, you all. And we've been reading this, I've been reading the success stories for at least a couple years now since being a part of the Elizabeth. And one thing for sure, we know that this is not all about us. It's not about us. They are all philanthropists. They all help. God works through people. So that's an amazing thing. I believe that God loves entrepreneurs, because
He does.
entrepreneurs truly live by faith.
Yes.
Truly live by faith. I remember when we had our first restaurant. We bought everything. We bought everything, the machines, the equipment. I mean, the food. I mean, we bought everything, and we didn't know if one person would walk through that door after going through all the things that we had to go through. we believed that we were going to be successful when those doors open, you know. So I'm just love entrepreneurship. I love how we have that faith. We go out there and we make it happen. So I'm just love seeing what they do. People don't know your story. You see people that are successful. You see Taco Bell, he was successful, but see, they don't know about the other businesses that failed before the Taco Bell was a success. He didn't give up on his dreams like all the other millionaire and billionaires. They did not give up their dreams. They got no's sometimes. So I'm just so excited. Yes, Queen.
Yeah, when you were when you were reading and you said extremely, I thought you was going to say extremely successful. You said he was extremely unsuccessful. That was that hit him pretty hard that time. Yeah, and but he kept going, no matter how bad it feels or seems, you just keep going.
Yes, like so many other success stories that I have read. So I'm so excited about our guest today, Miss Andrea Fields. Oh my God, I'm so excited. You know, I'm very, very impressed as well. I have to say, Miss Andrea Fields. I don't have all your information in front of me, but what I do love about Miss Andrea Fields is that she has not given up on her dreams. Okay. And she has a business called Perfect Choice. I said, all right, then. It's called Perfect Choice. So, I'd like to do my research, what I'm saying, on everybody, look up and see what they have. And I'm so impressed by your advertising of your product.
Thank you.
I wish I could find that one I saw with them
Oh,
dancing, talking about so clean, so clean, clean. So I'm gonna let you introduce your own product. But one thing I just admired about her is that I don't know how young you are, but I know you're probably just a little, maybe just a little bit tad older than me, right? And I'm 57, right? And I still
mhm.
haven't given up on my dreams. And we have so many other people in their 70s, in their 80s, who have not given up on their dream. It ain't over till it's over. And so to me, you bring hope
Thank you.
to those who have felt like, I should have did things differently. I made a lot of mistakes. It's over for me. No, it ain't over. It's not over. I I I'm gonna be working on getting Miss Cartwright on this on this Zoom because she is 80 years old and started her shea butter business at 80. Okay. I had a lady come over. She was so excited. She started her brokerage account. She's so excited that she started her first brokerage account and she's going to be able to leave something to her daughter at 80. Okay. So it's not over until it's over, babe. As long as you wake up, as long as you got your health, you can definitely change your situation for the better. Definitely change your situation for the better. So, with that being said, I'm going to introduce this wonderful and amazing Andrea Fields. So, Miss Andrea Fields, please feel happy to introduce yourself and tell us about your wonderful and amazing product.
Okay, well, thank you for that incredible introduction. It's really amazing to be here, and I thank you. Well, my name is Andrea Fields. I am a seamstress and a crafter by trade. I started sewing when I was like 8 or 9. I think I was 9, and I just have to say something about you're introducing my age. I identify as being 35 years young. That's what I identify as. And so, but I have been, I started my very first legal business in 1994. I needed to do it. My children and I had become, we had to flee for our lives and move back to Detroit where my family is. And I needed money. So I started running into people who remembered that I sold, and they would just say, well, can you do this for me? And so I just kind of fell into business then. And then the more business that came, I was like, well, look, I don't need to get a job. Shoot, I'll just keep sewing. And that's what I did. And I'm telling you the long story. We have an hour, right?
Yes, we do. Tell us the story, girl. Tell us the story.
Okay,
Give
thank
us
you.
hope.
Yeah,
Welcome everyone who just
so
joined.
oh yeah. So my niece had a birthday party, and I should have do I have it with me? Nope, I don't. No, my niece had a birthday party. And because my sister is who my sister is, I did not have a gift to give her, and I didn't have enough money to buy anything really nice. So I said, well, I'll just make her a doll. So I made her a doll. I made it, using some of my better fabric and I just made her a doll because I had made quite a bit of money making dolls and selling them from where we came from. And I said, okay, I'll just make her a doll. When I made her that doll, every woman at that party gasped like, where did you find a black doll? And it just kind of snowballed from there. And so what I learned from that experience, I ended up doing really, really, really well. I ended up having a team of 10 or 12 piece workers. And yeah, that was just all over the city. And people were taking my dolls to shops in other states. And it was just growing like that. So one of the biggest things I learned from that experience is when opportunities come, they don't normally knock and say, you have 10 weeks to prepare for this. No, they come and you have to jump on them when you're ready or when you're not. So
Mhm.
fast forward from there, I ended up let me see, why did I close? Oh, my son got sick and I ended up closing that business. I had gotten burned by so many people. And when my son got sick, I just lost my focus. And rather than trying to get someone to manage it that I didn't trust and then losing everything anyway, I just decided to shut down. And when I got back in business again later on, just sewing and making dolls and teaching people how to sew, that was my first love anyway. I've always wanted to be a home economist. So I started teaching people how to sew in my home and crochet and knit, that kind of thing. I'm proficient in 13 needle arts. Um, so from there, I just kind of, how you just kind of wade through life. I've had jobs in between because sewing is like a seasonal job. From Thanksgiving on to the spring, people don't usually want custom garments unless they have a special event. But normally from spring, maybe April or May, all the way through Thanksgiving, well, just before Thanksgiving, like the first week of November, people are always wanting custom garments. So during those lull times, I would get a job, and sometimes I'd need a job to help tide me over. So what I learned in that is that persistence is key. It doesn't matter what you have set your mind to do, even if you have to step back for a while, always keep your desire in mind. So fast forward to me having a little studio, and I've had 5 studios, in that time. So I had a little studio in Redford, and no, in Farmington at the time. And, the pandemic came and shut me down 2 weeks after I was open. And so I'm just like upset, and they wouldn't let me out of my lease. So I ended up losing my home trying to hold on to my lease. So I started saying, God, what am I supposed to do? So I just started asking them to help me live above the dictates of the economy. I don't care what's going on in the economy. I want to be good. I was tired of ebbing and flowing through life, being up one day and down the next. So I just kept asking them that, just kept asking them that. And I'm going to say about a year later, I ended up meeting a girl at Fresh Time Market who was demoing some cheesecake. And I asked her, I said, I've never seen a Black woman in here demoing anything. How did you get in this store? And so she told me about Global Empowerment Ministry. So, and that's how I got introduced to that ministry. I just started following the plan. And what I've learned from that experience is that in spite of all the experiences I've had, in spite of me having had a mentor at one time, in spite of me going to wonderful networking events and being parts of Black organizations, if it's not your time, it's not your time. You have to learn at every step along the way so that when that time that is yours does hit, you can just roll with it. It just kind of, just like when I started making dolls, it just kind of I'll just say manifest for lack of a better term. Everything just starts falling in place. And that's exactly what happened. And fast forward, while I was at Global Empowerment, well, I'm still there. I learned how to source products from China, and this is my product. Perfect Choice Laundry Biodegradable. Yeah, there you go. Perfect Choice Biodegradable Laundry Detergent Sheets. Now, when we were taught how to source products, I knew I needed something that I could sell in my shop. And I'm just saying, guys, show me what to sell. What am I supposed to? I know I needed something that goes along with what I do anyway. And so I was looking at, craft supplies, sewing kits, soap, I've tested dryer sheets. And then when I noticed that laundry detergent sheets, I'm like, I've never heard of that. So I looked it up. And it was only three companies doing it at the time, manufacturing laundry detergent sheets. I'm like, let me get a sample. Got a sample. It worked okay. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. And I'm at the beginning of a growth curve. And most of you know that if you're at the beginning of a growth curve, and I started researching what the prospectus was for that. And I thought, oh, this is it. And so that's how I became a manufacturer of laundry detergent sheets. Now I call myself the manufacturer because I pay the factory who makes these sheets. They don't pay me, and I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for myself, and I pay them to make it. Even though this particular formula isn't my own, I've had some other formulations made to my specifications. And that's another thing I really wanted to stress, that when you keep going in your business, more and more opportunities will come to you, more and more information will come to you, but it's up to you to take advantage of it and walk with it. Have I said enough yet? I feel like I've just been rattling
No, you
on.
absolutely uh share some really good nuggets. I'll
Okay.
make sure that everybody caught it, okay?
Mhm.
So one of the things is persistent. You talked about persistent is the key.
Mhm.
That is the key. As long as you stay in the game, that's the only way you're gonna fail is if you don't stay in the game. You have to be um persistent. Another
Mhm.
thing word that came out, this one anything that you do, not even it's really great for business, but it's also for your personal life also being persistent with your goals, being persistent at setting goals. It's okay to change your goals. It's okay to have a budget, be persistent and mindful with your spending habits, with your money, with your finances. Be persistent into becoming better with your finances. You keep working on improving yourself. Eventually, you will come out on the better end. Patience. That's another key. We live in a society right now that we're not very patient. You have to be patient. It's this one guy I said, "Oh my God!" It was the other day. I wish I could quote him verbatim, but he was saying he patient. He was like, God, as long as I know that you're going to be with me on this journey, on my business, I'm going
Come
to be
on now.
patient. God, you know
Mhm.
my goals. You know my dreams. You know the house I want to drive. I mean, the car I want to drive, the house that I want to live in. As long as you are guiding my step, I'll be patient. He said, God, if you is
Amen
going to
to
be
that.
the one to guide me and you're going to be the one to come and be in my house with me, I'm going to be patient. And I was just thought that was just so profound about being patient. Patience is the virtue that has that in the base. You got to be patient. You got to believe and you got to have faith that, you speak what it is that you want. The first thing, I don't know if anybody is familiar with Abraham Hicks. Abraham,
Yes.
um,
Yes. Sarah and Abraham Hicks. Yes.
yes, it's called um, Ask and it is given.
Mhm.
How to manifest your heart's desire. And one of the things they talk about is just, for one, it's only like three things you have to do. Like one, speak on what it is that you want. You got to speak it out of your mouth. Speak what it is that you want. That step one is on you. Step two, once you speak it, God in the universe is going to start putting it together, working on it, putting it together for you, right? Step
Mhm.
three is back on you that you are properly in line, making sure you properly in line with your source being. I don't care what your source being is. Whoever your source being is, be properly in line with your source being so that you can receive what it is that you asked for, you know? So you have to be patient, with that and believe and trust and include God in your business. That's another thing. A lot of people we ask God to be in our business, I mean in our personal life, but we sometimes miss to ask him to be your business partner. Be your business partner to guide you, to use him, in your business. So I love the perfect choice. So indeed, at one point, I actually was looking at the biodegradable laundry detergent sheets. I went and I got samples from, from
Gotcha.
overseas as well, tested it to see how it was,
Mhm.
and it was just coming out. During that time, it was a one company that I knew that was seemed like she was doing very well
Yep.
with the
Same here.
biodegradable sheets. Now, as I was looking, doing research, I noticed that are you in any stores? Because it looked like you might be in Myers. Are you in any stores at this
Well,
time?
I've done the onboarding process at Meyer, but I have not. They have not made their first order yet, and I have been in communication with another big box store. I won't say which one it is yet, but it is, a local. Well, it's a Great Lakes store, so they have stores all over the Great Lakes. That's what is that? Chicago, Michigan. What other state is part of the Great Lakes? But anyway, yes. And I'm 22 local stores. Well, 21 because Plum Hollow burned down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I know. So during this entrepreneur journey, what
Hmm.
is it that has made you to become the person that you are right now in where you are right now? Like what things that you wish you knew now? You know what I'm saying? Like now you've learned from that. Like what do you think your journey has been? Like your journey, you said one time the business, you sacrificed a lot. You talked about your home a little bit. What did you learn from that? Because you're still in the game. You have
I'm
not
still
given
in the
up.
game.
You have not given up. What has
You know,
fueled you to keep going forward?
I have to say in all honesty, when my children were younger, I used to tell, I was sewing from home and I was doing custom orders and making downs and had employees that I had to get work to. I used to tell my children all the time, if you help me, we'll get to a point where I don't have to work so hard and we could start traveling and doing all sorts of wonderful things. And my children did everything I asked them to. They were model children. They held up in their end of the bargain, but I haven't held up to mine yet. And they still encourage me. Here we are, 40 years later, and they still encourage me, say, Mom, don't give up now. Don't give up. You'll make it. Just keep going. And they held their end to the bargain, so I have to fulfill mine. That's what keeps me going. My promise to them.
That is so amazing. Speaking on your kids, like that's one of the things that actually like keeps me fuel also is because my kids, okay, I don't want to cry. My
I
kids,
know. I know.
they it's make you feel
Mm,
so good when they always tell you, "Mom, I'm so proud of you. I'm
yes.
so proud of you. Ma, I love what you're doing." Like
Mm,
he's like my one of actually both of them talk about me all the time to other people. But my youngest son, boy, he telling the world. He tells the world about his mother. Okay,
mm,
and and he's moving in the circles with millionaires and billionaires. I always say that's my millionaire baby right there. And so he's in that circle,
Hmm.
with millionaires, on a regular basis, meeting people. And so when he met Ash Cash, I don't know if anybody heard of Ash Cash, but Ash Cash is known as a top financial coach, advisor, mentor. And he's known as the hip hop financial person, and he's wrote several books. I've had his books and different things like that. But he gave me a shout out. He
Ah,
said, your son, I had to give you a shout out because your son hyped you up so much. So much. I got to give you a shout out. And so that just made me feel so good. He was like, Matter
nice.
Finance, do your thing. I was like, I was so geeked because he is a multimillionaire. And
Mhm.
he is going to be one of the next people who I contact the book. After the book. Yeah. So, it's good when your kid, you're doing the right thing when your kids tell you they proud of you.
Yeah,
Your
yeah,
kids, thank you for their life.
yeah.
Yes, Miss Queen.
Yeah, I was in my writing this morning, I was thanking God for having a business that I could actually turn over to my son.
Mm.
Just, you're doing something, and my son he came in through the back door. In other words, it was not his choice to be in the natural hair and doing braiding and locking and stuff, but it's, and then as far as teaching, he stepped in when I was overwhelmed with stuff. Overwhelmed in a good way. I was doing a lot of things, and I had students, and it's like, where are you? I was busy doing some other things, but he stepped in and he just took it over, and his patience and everything. And now I am actually um, giving it over to him so that I can retire and do some other things. And I was just thanking God that, you know, um, I'm as far as millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire manifestation, it's in process, but I had something that I could actually turn over to him and let him do his thing, and trust that what I've put in him and what I've seen him do, that he can do it. And he shoos me away. I, I got my, and just in doing that, I went over there and he's moved the furniture out. This is happening now. He's moved furniture and he's setting up, he's ordered stuff, and like, wow, just thank you, God, that I was in that position to do that, to do that. Yeah. Cut the strings.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You were saying about the millions manifesting, but years and years and years ago, I read a book, and in the book, it was a little paragraph that talked about most people by the time they reach the age of 35 have had $1 million pass through their hands,
You're
not only
right.
because of the jobs they've had, but because of the gifts they've gotten from people for birthdays or whatever, tax returns. All of us, by the time we're 35, well, the vast majority of us by the time we're 35 have had $1 million pass through our hands. So we are literally millionaires. We
Millionaires.
just we
Right.
just did not hold on to that million. We have had it.
We used it.
Yes, we
We
did. Yes, we
utilized it,
did.
right?
Yes, we did. And the vast majority, and we have earned more than $1 million for other organizations, for people who did not appreciate us well enough to share that wealth with us, unless it was a measured amount in the form of a paycheck. But we've all had at least $1 million flow through our hands. So
I say,
when we think of, that's one of the things that I've been reminding myself of lately, that as I think of it, I do have the ability to manifest it in a way that I hold on to instead of letting it continue to pass through.
I say, thank you. Thank you. New thought.
Yes, we
New
have a
thought.
hand, we
Yeah.
have a hand up, Miss Evelyn Pinkert. How are you? Wonderful.
Hi, Grand Rising
Hi,
everyone.
Grand Rising.
Um, I wanted to say that my grandson will be starting his first job
Hmm.
this summer,
Okay.
and he's on track to make like $1,500 for the summer. And
Okay.
he's a gamer, so he wants to build his gaming system. And so I want him to, I told him, I said, I'm gonna find you a financial advisor. We need to find him a financial advisor so that they can talk to him and get him in the right mindset when he starts making his money and what he needs to do with it. Something that my father and my mother didn't know to do for me, and I didn't know to do for my daughter. I want to make sure that it starts out correct for him so that he's not just having this money and just not knowing what to do with it.
Yes, that's amazing. One thing also, financial advisor and accountant. One, make sure he's starting his business or he's getting, money that he speaks with a good accountant also, because an accountant would be able to, help him also to be able to, you know, know what to do with his money and different things like that. Educate him on taxes. That's another, important thing. And his grandmother knows enough that, he needs to open up a brokerage account. It doesn't cost
Yes,
any money to open up a brokerage account. I'm so excited. 2 days ago, another young lady came over. She's been saying, I want to open up a brokerage account. She opened up her brokerage account. She attached her check to, and now she can't wait. She said, my next pay period, I am going to put money into my brokerage account. We have to start investing. Start off with maybe some REITs, some ETFs, which is exchange traded funds, and some dividends to get the passive income that you deserve, to get paid within 90 days. You got some that will pay you, monthly dividends, but most of them are every 3 months to get that passive income. This is the perfect time to get him in a habit of doing so. It's a lot of cases it's better than the bank. Some banks have fees. Some banks have fees if you don't have 5,000 minimum balance of 5,000 or whatever it is, and then they want to charge you. It's not like that with a brokerage account. So I highly recommend Charles Swart. I'll be happy to help him open up a brokerage account for himself and his grandmother, because his grandmother be able to, show him, and we need more success stories. So I thank you, Miss Andrew Fields. We need more success stories for these younger people. They need more success to know that yes, you can do it. You can do it. I'm so proud to be a part of the Elizabeth. We all are growing together. This is a wonderful and amazing community. Every day of the week, we have something, you know, um, to hit pretty much all areas of your life. Yes. And Miss Fields, did your children have to help you doing your business?
Oh yeah, they did. They did a lot of sewing for me and stuffing dolls, but they don't do any of it now. But I wanted to say to Miss Pinkert, the County Aid Society, I'm sure they provide aid for people who need it without charge, and that might be a very good place for him to start and learning how
okay,
to keep his books. The Accounting Aid Society, and there's an office right here on 7 Mile and Woodward.
okay.
Yeah, the Accounting Aid Society. But yes, my children did help me. Yes, they had to.
And a lot of times too, we have to use our young people. Because
Yes.
nowadays it's like they don't, some of them do not
Mhm.
know how to do anything,
Unfortunately.
Sometimes we have
Yeah,
to,
and they're all,
go
yeah.
ahead, sweetheart.
I was just going to say, they're all resourceful now. My daughter, they're all in their own lane. My daughter, started her, she became a licensed natural hair culturist while she was still in high school. And then she went back and went to barber school. So she has her barber license. She's a licensed natural hair culturist. And then she started taking these classes when she moved to Texas and learned how to develop her own products. And she has those. She has her own line of hair care products. So they've all, my son is a mechanic. One of them is a mechanic. They're all doing really well.
So I have a question for you, Miss Fields.
Okay.
So a young lady introduced you to global empowerment. May we
hmm
ask to general, like, how young were you when you first was introduced to global empowerment?
in all honesty, the very first time I was introduced to global empowerment, I was probably 36 for real or 40, but I was listening to his programs on the radio every Sunday, and one Sunday the Lord just said, I want you to go to that ministry. And I said, okay. So the next Sunday I went, and they were supposed to be on Oakman Boulevard. I think this was like 2015, 2016. And they were supposed to be on Oakman Boulevard. That's what the commercial kept saying. And I went there, looked around, didn't see anybody, couldn't find the address. And I said, well, wherever all the cars are, that's where I'll go in that door. And didn't see a lineup of cars anywhere. Years later, I found out they had moved and they just didn't announce it on the radio, because that very next Sunday, I listened to the radio program again to see if I had gotten the address wrong. And they gave the same address on Oakman Boulevard. So maybe
Okay,
it was, yeah. So maybe when God was telling me to go, he was actually saying, you're going to go there. So,
okay,
yeah,
okay, okay. So
yeah.
how challenging has it been? Did you think when you first came to global empowerment, introducing, saying all of these business entrepreneurs, you learning something new? Did it seem overwhelming? Did you think, oh, can I really do this? What was going through your mind?
Not at all. I come from a background of very professional people. And my uncle, in fact, when I first moved back to Detroit, he let me work in his and his cleaners right over there on, what was the name of it? Cadu and Mac. He had a black owned cleaners, and he let me work there for him for several months until I got my bearings straight. And so I come from a background of people who are professionals or professionally, in business. So that didn't scare me. But what impressed me the very first time I went, I didn't realize Mr. Cartwright was the pastor, because there was no choir or nothing. And here he is talking. But what he was saying, I'm like, he sounds just like my uncle. Wow, wow. Like he had his soapbox sermon going. And my uncle had long passed. So I just kept going and listening before I decided, probably for a month before I decided to follow the plan, because what he was teaching me is something I had not learned before, and that was how to source products. And, every time I go, I learn something. It might not be, and sometimes things are just reinforced that I've already learned. But no, it was not an overwhelming experience. It was like I'm going to say it was like validation that all that I had been through had purpose.
Okay. So I would like to ask you a question. What's
Sure.
one piece of advice you would give to someone who feels stuck or knows that they meant to do more?
Are you asking me what I would tell myself?
What would you tell yourself?
Yeah,
Ask yourself.
so
What would you
so
tell
I
yourself?
think
What would you
yeah,
tell?
so yeah. So one of the things I know for certain is that we can't accomplish anything if we give up. And that's how you started this message, saying we have to keep going no matter what. Giving up is not an option if you really believe in your goal and you really truly believe that the God of the universe is your father, and he has the ability to get you from point A to point B. Sometimes I remember all of the things that Joseph had to go through before he became, he wasn't the king, but before he became the second in charge of a whole kingdom. Sometimes I have to remember what Daniel, Shadrach, Mishael, and Abednego had to go through in order to come out of the fiery furnace and to be heralded, by God himself. Sometimes I just have to rehearse stories of success that other people went through. One of the I'm going to say one of the pivotal moments in my life, in my in my walk with Christ came when that decision, when I had to make the decision whether to keep my business open or to close it. And I was doing really, really well. I had dials all over Michigan and where were they? In Texas and Kentucky. People were just taking them out of states. And every time I turned around, someone else was giving me an opportunity. I had even had an opportunity through Comcast Radio where, in fact, during that time in the late 90s, if you saw a dial in any manufacturer's national bank in the city of Detroit, it was a dial I made. If you saw any dials at Children's Hospital, it was a dial I made. Just about all the art galleries, like Swan Gallery was the first that gallery that promoted my dial. So one of the things I had to decide when I made the decision to close my shop instead of, just trying to keep it open and trying to see about my son too, I had to decide what was more important to me, the life of my son or the life of a business. I had to decide because I knew that since God had brought me that far in the business, that he could do it for me again. That he could, not necessarily that he would, but that he could. And if it was really of him for me to be a successful business owner, it would come around again.
Yeah.
So
Do you have your a picture or one of your dolls you could share with us?
You know what? I do have a couple, but I did not bring one. I actually had a doll in my purse and took it out. Yeah. Yeah,
well,
but they were soft sculpted, handcrafted dolls. Uh-huh.
now one thing I admire is your advertising, your marketing. Like,
Uh-huh.
so how did you how is that marketing has been for you? Has it been challenging? Has it been, yeah, what's this? How has marketing helped you, or how did you learn how to market? Because that's one thing we have to do. Even in
Right,
your personal life, you should market yourself,
right.
have a pitch about, hey, you know, what's your name? Who are you? What do you do? Like, you should have a pitch for that, even if you don't
Mhm.
have a business. So, what actually prompt you to about the marketing? Because now you saying you were everywhere. Your dials was here, your dials was there. Like, how did you evolve into being able to market your dials and your
So
current product?
okay, so I will say with the dials, I got my degree in marketing. So I wanted to be a home economist, and I was just praying about which school to go to, and God said, not home economics, marketing. And I'm like, I don't know anything about marketing. I don't want to be a marketer. But when you know the Lord, you do what He says. I'm like, okay. The very first job I got out of college was at Murphy Middle School, and I was the assistant to the home economics instructor, but I was the building sub. That was my real job, the building sub. But they allowed me to be with the home ec instructor whenever I didn't have another class to facilitate. So that same first semester, before summer got here, we got word that the state of Michigan was no longer going to have home economics classes in schools by the end of that school year. Only God could have known it was going to roll around like that, right?
Mhm.
So I just started paying more attention to the marketing aspects of what I learned in marketing. And because I went to school so long ago, grassroots marketing was the big thing. Developing relationships with people, talking, telling people what you want and what you need, not being afraid to ask for whatever it is you need. So yeah, and so a lot of times, what I found is in just developing relationships, as I went to different networking events, and I was part of Ken Harris's First Friday group. It was just a really exciting experience. But what I found out is that when you're sincere and you're willing to help other people, they're willing to help you too. So as I would give people information, they would call me and say, "Hey, so and so is going." Like one lady went to Martha's Vineyard and she took one of my dolls with her. I got a call from the owner of a shop in Martha's Vineyard because she wanted to know if I can custom make her a Rastafarian doll. Of course I can. And so that's how I started making dolls for so it just kind of snowballs, but it starts with developing good, clear relationships and being willing to help others. I think, did I answer your question or did I just ramble on?
No, you did. So let's say cost. You have dials. So we have a young lady who has workshops, and she has some
Okay.
beautiful dials. They spirit was called spiritual dials. Is that right, Miss Evelyn?
Okay.
Spiritual dials. So how did you begin, like, to know how to price your dials? Did you do any workshops, with the dials? And how did you handle that? Like, what was that process like to be able to sell your dials, to have a workshop? Like, how did that process go?
Yeah. So again, it all started with relationships, and people just started telling me, "Hey, I heard about this. I heard about that." So you remember if you went to the African American History Museum on Warren when they that very first opening day, and you went to a dial crafting workshop. That was me, and those were my employees who facilitated that workshop. If you back in the late '90s, early 2000, I'm going to say before 2002, if you went to a workshop at the historical museum that where we handcrafted dials, I think I made stick dials with them. That was a workshop I hosted. But those were people who invited me. And so what happened is the very first workshop I did, I was just determined to do an excellent job. I was determined that no matter what, I was going to do an excellent job. So I went above and beyond the call of duty. And when it was all over, the supplies that they gave me, because I charged them for the supplies, I charged them for the hour. And that's how I charged back then. So, but when the supplies I didn't use, I returned them to them. When I did the African American History Museum, I charged them for all the tools I needed. I charged them for the supplies, and I charged them a flat rate for my service. The flat rate I charged them became my standard, and they told me and then when I went to take them back the supplies I didn't use, they told me that their accountants wanted me to work with them all the time, that they loved how straightforward I was. So I think that just doing an excellent job that first time opened opportunities for me to be referred for other jobs because I was operating in integrity.
Oh, that is so good, because one of my mottos with my company, Natural Living by Design, for those who don't know, I have a company called Natural Living by Design. We are a certified three female family owned supplier of health and wellness products. And that's one of the things that our motto is: we want to move with excellence.
Hmm.
Moving with excellence. That should be our standard,
Hmm.
to move with excellence. Everything that you do, like you said, you went over and beyond. Like, it really pays off to do that. A lot of my, see your hand, Miss Pinker. A lot of my some of my agents, they say, Lakeisha, you doing too much. You doing too much. But you
No
can
such
never do
thing.
too much to be
It's
too
no
kind. You can never be too much, to help someone. And that's how they became my clients, not customers.
Mhm,
It's a difference between a customer and a client. A customer is just like a one and done.
mhm.
But a client is someone who you work with, who you build a relationship with, who so yeah, so I do believe in excellence and going over and beyond. Yes, Miss
Yeah,
Evelyn.
I just want to say that I don't think you can be too kind, but I think you can be kind to the wrong people. I think that's where the separation lies. Yeah, no, you can't be too kind. You can't do too much, but you can do too much for the wrong person. All right, I'm done.
I think that you can never be too kind, but
Uh-huh.
people just don't appreciate you. Like, they
Yeah,
just, you got to
but
be
you have to be able to pull back or they will suck
absolute.
you in. So
So she has Miss Evelyn has her hand up, but she did put in there, do you have pictures of your dials? But I think you had answered that a little
yeah,
earlier.
I
And
did.
then
I did.
someone also put in the chat, what's your website?
Oh, I can chat that now. Oh, I'll type it in the chat now, actually.
Now,
And
I watched one of your videos. I think you were doing a pop-up. And during your pop-up, you were showing laundry bags also. Like, is that your
yes, I
only
do.
product?
No, it's not I purchased that product. Do you all know, I'm sure all of you have used laundry bags at one time or another, correct?
Laundry what?
Bag.
Bags,
Bags.
mesh laundry bags.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay. I I don't hear anyone.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of my products. I developed a super, it's a spray cleaner with a little more oomph. It's a purse size. I have that. And then I had some magnets I had custom made. I think I have one of those in my purse actually. Yeah, I don't have one in my purse. Oh no. Oh yes, I do. Here they are. So I had these custom made also. They are care code magnets. So lately I've been when I go to look at clothes, they have these codes in them, but they don't explain what the codes mean. And so that's why I had this magnet development. It tells you if it does has this X over a zero, it means don't dry clean. You know. Yeah, so that's what my most recent product is. I
Okay.
am going to, I think I see this. Wait a minute.
Her
I'm looking for that
website,
video.
while she's looking, is perfectchoicecleaningsolution.com.
Yeah, yeah,
Perfectchoicecleaningsolutions.com.
Mm-hmm.
right. I typed it into the,
Miss Evan, you have another
okay.
question?
Well, I just wanted to say when you were talking about, I have facilitated doll making workshops at the at the African World Museum.
Nice.
They're under uh, Jara McKinney,
Okay.
and
Yeah, that name doesn't sound familiar.
yeah, she was there for a long time now. Yeah, long
Mm.
time. Um, Yeah. So, and when you say going above and beyond, yeah, yeah, Capricorn with a Virgo sun, moon, and it can get crazy. I have to draw back sometimes.
Mm.
But what I always say is spirit talking to me. He wakes me up, or she wakes me up, and she says, she just starts running off, and I say, okay, 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 wait. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I understand. I understand. Yeah, right now I'm going to be doing another dial making class at the library over
Oh,
on
which one?
uh is it the wit over on West Outer Drive by the lodge. What is that? It's an unintrusive little building.
Yeah,
You
I know which one. Here it is. I found one. I'll put it in the chat.
you got a picture?
For so fresh and so clean.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and so I had done one class before. It was a biome doll, which was a doll that the women who came over on the slave would make a
Hmm.
doll for their children to remember them by. And so now we're doing something a little different, and it's going to be more like a peg doll, but I'm putting the pegs together myself because
Sweet.
I can't find one big enough that I like. I can't find them big enough that are reasonably priced. So I'm just putting them together myself. So that's
That's
what,
what
One,
we do.
yeah.
yes. One thing I would like to share is that, the last 2 years, um, Natural Living by Design had applied for the Comerica Hatch by Tech Town. And, we had made it to the top 25. And then we made it to the first year we made it, the first time we got approved for the grant. Over 250 companies applied for the Comerica Hatch. We made it to the top 25. The following year, which was last year, we applied again. We made it to the top 25, but we didn't, and we made it to the top 10. We didn't make it to the top 5. So tomorrow, if anybody want to see, they're going to do the top 10 reveal tomorrow at Tech Time. So I think, it's pretty like cool to a great networking place because
Hmm.
you have all type of entrepreneurs, different you want to see what Tech Town has to offer. They have a lot of free services there. But when I say a great networking event to get numbers and find out about different businesses and different things, that you may, that you may need, or services that you may, want to purchase or buy or support. We need to support one another. So it's a great place to know about all these amazing hidden gems, companies that's right here in the city of Detroit. It's going to be tomorrow from 6 to 8. So you do have to go on techtown.com and go ahead and register. That would be a great thing. So it is 10:01. Time just flew by
Oh my
so
goodness.
fast. Oh my God, so fast. Now you put that YouTube. Is that so fresh and so clean?
Yes. Are you able to
Can I
play it
show
real
this? I
fast?
know we 1 minute over, but I would love to. Can I show this?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Let me show this. I was like, oh, her marketing stuff. I'm like, okay. I gotta show this out. Okay, let's see. All right, so I got to get the power. Got the power. And where do I go? Oh, I need to open my screen up a little more so I can see. There we go, share. Okay. Can y'all see that?
Yes.
Make it big.
We don't
I don't
hear
hear
it.
the sound.
I don't hear it.
No, we don't hear it, but that's hot.
It
Uh,
is, isn't it?
They getting down. So
Yes, they
fresh, so
are.
clean.
Yeah.
I can't hear it.
No, we can't hear it.
Okay, I don't know why y'all can't hear it. I can hear it. So y'all can't hear it. So she put the link on it. Y'all copy it. Copy it and paste it. I said, oh my God, her marketing. I recommend that you go on to Perfect Choice and see how she's marketing, her products and different things. It may give you some amazing ideas on how to market, your business. And we have a lot of business people,
Your voice just went out too.
Can y'all hear me?
Your voice just went out.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I
Thank
gotta
you.
sit back. Yeah. Yeah, so it can help you, maybe give you some ideas about your business and what it is that you're doing, because we have a lot of business people on here. We got a lot of people on here who contemplating on maybe opening up their business. So I'm just so excited. Thank you so much, Miss Andrea Fields, for
Thank you for
sharing
having
your,
me.
yes, your business with us. You're so thankful and grateful for your time and sharing your knowledge and your business with us. And what's the best place for us to go buy your product? Is it on the website that you just
On
gave?
the website, yes, on the website. It's the very best place right now.
Okay,
Quick
awesome.
question. Do you give
Sure.
marketing advice?
Well, you know what? I just put in the link for you to give me your web address and your phone number.
I
So
can give you
if you would chat, put it in the chat for me. I'll write it, or you can just give it to me now.
Oh, my phone number is 313.
No, 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 no,
No,
no.
no,
This is
I don't think
recorded.
okay. All right. Well, oh
All
yes,
right.
somebody call me.
Well, I sent you mine. I sent you mine in the personal chat.
Okay.
So look that up and then just give me a call.
Okay. Will
And then
do.
Yeah.
Lakeisha has her number as well, so you can connect.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yes,
Sounds good.
yes.
Sounds good.
Well, it is 10:05. I want to again say thank you for joining the Grand Rising Elizabeth Wealth Building Wednesday show.
Thank you for having
I
me.
want to
Thank you so
end with
much for having me.
everyone giving yourself a hug. A lot of times we forget. Oh, just hug ourselves. We have so many people, and so let's
Mhm.
give ourselves a hug. Let's hug the world because the world needs a hug too. And
Mm.
let's sprinkle love and light to all those that are in authority. I hope you all have a wonderful and fantastic day on purpose.
It started
Thank
out
you.
great.
Yes, thank you.
Love you.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Let's see, how do I